Welcome back. We're going to be talking about VR and how it's probably not ready for mainstream and the world yet, despite everybody pushing it like crazy. Oh, God. Those legs. Those legs, Zuckerberg. Fix the legs! Guys, VR is just a niche market in technology. Yes, it's pretty damn fun, but unfortunately, it's bulky. You got to carry around a headset. You got to deal with another battery if it doesn't have a wire to it. And for people like me, you're going to get a headache after about 30 minutes to an hour of using it with a screen about 1 inch from your face. Here's just getting into a few reasons of why I don't think VR, including Metaverse, is going to be anything big anytime soon. People love to give Mark Zuckerberg a hard time. I think he's actually onto something about his Metaverse. It probably really genuinely is the next phase of the internet. But I think he's a little bit ahead of his curve, and perhaps decades, if not an entire century, of constant progression through technology. And what do we need for that technology to become mainstream? Well, it's gonna have to come off of our heads like a freaking helmet and be able to be integrated into our eyeballs like a Minority Report or something like a proto-matrix. So it's not only the bulkiness problem with the headsets, it's the cost associated with it. They're expensive, and the cheaper ones are still expensive, and they suck even more. There's a list of things that we're gonna have to go through to really make it worthwhile, like eyeball tracking. You have to know where you're looking for it to be a really interactive environment. Not only that, but higher graphic levels, plus resolution is too low for eyes to be staring that close in the screen. There are people who can actually play long sessions of gaming, but it gets to you after a while. It's not something you can just kind of melt into and forget that you're in a different landscape. It's gonna bother you, and quite frankly, it probably needs to be 4K in each eye minimum. Minimum. That's like the 1990s equivalent of televisions in 20 years. I'm thinking 8K resolution in each eye, a refresh rate of 500 hertz or more. I mean, you have to really feel a fluid environment to engage in it in a meaningful way that doesn't completely break your immersion from reality. I mean, nothing like sitting in there, getting into the game or getting into the metaverse, and then all of a sudden a raging migraine comes on because you're just staring at the screen for so long. Even if you could get past the cost, there's still these technological limitations that are a severe problem. And even if you have 8K in each eye and 500 megahertz and eye tracking, you still have a massive device on your head that's just gonna weigh things down. And putting aside the cost of everything, you still are going to encounter just simply limited development of content. There's not that many people creating stuff, and there are some extreme demos that are fantastic, like Half-Life Alyx, which was a pretty freaking sweet game, but it's still a bit of a shortcoming. It's only a demonstration of what VR could eventually become once you get past the technology and the cost of everything. There have been existing games out there free on Steam that have been incredible, but yet again, other demonstrations. There's a Spider-Man game, there's VR Chat, which there was a boatload of memes when it first came out in like 2018. They're pretty remarkable to go down that crazy Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole, but let's not digress there, folks. You have Surgeon Simulator, a game called Gorilla Tag, and then you also have Google Earth and VR, which is pretty cool, but all these things really need to come together on a more unified platform, engage the users, but it's just not gonna happen with these bulky headsets. Now, going over to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Meta, he changed his entire company to Meta because he thought that this was gonna be the next big thing for his company. And he's not wrong, he's just way too early. They're gonna have to get over the helmet headset concept to figure out how to incorporate it into the workplace. Yes, remote work could actually become a real thing permanently if we can make it seem like we're in the office but at home. Why does it matter if you're in a virtual office or in a physical office? The fact is you're in an office for real collaboration and space. So once that's able to be achieved, remote work, no matter where you are, just won't matter anymore. It's gonna break down those walls and those barriers, and it's gonna be great. But it's probably not gonna happen until my kids have kids and their kids have kids, and then they can go on the street next to Target and replace their eyeballs with something that can see augmented reality and pure virtual reality. I tell you, that's when the movie theaters are finally going to crash, because then they're just going to charge you a subscription service like Netflix. Go see the movies with your new eyeballs. So not only are we facing limited content, but we're facing limitations with social integration, because there's not enough people participating in this environment because of the physical headset. Then you're not going to have enough players for the multiplayer world. And so when you go in somewhere like VR chat, it actually lets you participate in there both with a VR and without a VR. But the headset gives you more depth because you got those hand things where you can do a lot of handy motions and cool stuff. Without them, your hands are kind of just, in the T pose. There's not much you can really do about it, but you can at least still participate in the social content and have jokes, make voices, forget about it. So while VR technology has already come a long way, not only in the past few years, but also in the past several decades, it's still decades away from being something that you're going to see someone like Kim Kardashian throwing on and participating in a new swimwear contest, because there's just not enough people. So it's a very small world. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg was that far off, so let's not hate the guy for dreaming big, but this just might be too big of a dream for even this guy. If you made it this far, tell me what you think in the comments below about virtual reality. Do you have a headset? What is your favorite game? And what do you not like about VR the most? And do you think Metaverse will actually ever take off, or will Mark Zuckerberg just make it disappear before it could ever become a thing in the coming years? Do the like and subscribe and all that. But until next time, cheers and good night.